Hi folks, how you all doing? It's Will here. Got a couple of fight card predictions coming up. We've got two fight cards coming coming weekend. Friday night we have the TUF 20 finale where we'll crown a new strawweight champion. Going on to Saturday night, we've got the UFC On Fox 13 show. Dos Santos versus Miocic is the headliner for that card from Arizona. Coming off a bumper card at UFC 181 this past weekend from Vegas. Loved the card, loved the main card. Great to see the Pettis brothers do so well. I think Anthony Pettis he's just going to go down as one of the best ever. Got a tough fight next pub against Khabib. Was great to see Robbie Lawler finally get the belt. A long time veteran of the sport. Was great to see. I had it 49-46 for Hendricks. What did you guys think? Leave a comment below to tell me who you think won the fight and what the score you thought was right for the fight. As I say, we're going to move on. I'm going to quickly get through the TUF 20 finale card. Don't want to stick around too much. I want to go into the Pheonix card. So getting started in the Fight Pass fights. We've got Emily Kagan against Angela Hill. I like Emily Kagan in this fight. She is going to be a little bit better on the ground, taking it. She's okay. She's carrying on her feet as well. And see, this is Angela Hill, I think, first pro fight outside of TUF. So I'm going to go with Emily Kagan. She's been around a long time, very well rounded. I like her by a decision, so I'm going to go Emily Kagan. Aislinn Daly against Alex Chambers, a really good fight, which I really like. But I like Aislinn Daly. I think unorthodox striking, her movement, just the way she's actually very interesting to watch. I've watched her for a long time, for years, in fact, over here in the European scene. And I like her actually to finish this fight, so I'm going to go a second round TKO. Tecia Torres against Angela Magana. Tecia Torres is going to wipe the floor with Angela Magana. Magana doesn't offer anything. She was a total bitch on the show. I thought she was a bit of a bully. And on Twitter, she's a fucking nut job, let's face it. I hope Tecia Torres gets a finish somehow, but I can't see it. A decision for Tecia Torres. Next up, we've got Scotland's own Joanne Calderwood. You know I'm going to pick Jojo. I'm one of her biggest fans over here. She's Scottish. I'm going to rep her to the death. She's got a tough fight here against Seo Hee Ham. Ham is a natural 105er coming up to 115. She's got a similar skill set to Joanne Calderwood. Muay Thai background. Lots of kicks, elbows. Likes to keep it on the feet. But Joanne Calderwood, I feel, is just a little bit better in that facet of the game. And we'll take her out eventually. So I'm going to go early third round TKO for Joanne Calderwood. Bec Rawlins against Heather Jo Clark. I like Bec Rawlins. She's got more aggressive, better striking. I think she can take it to the ground if she needs to. I don't think she will. So I'm going to go Bec Rawlins by decision. Felice Herrig against Lisa Ellis. Felice should really have this. Not her biggest fan. I think she can take it to the ground. She can get a submission. She can pound out if she needs to. But Felice Herrig for me all day long. Spoiler alert, I know the semi-finals isn't on TUF, it's actually tomorrow night. But I think as many may know what the final's going to be. So if you don't want to know who's in the final, next 10 seconds, don't listen. It's next 10 seconds to 30 seconds. Rose Namajunas against Carla Esparza. I like watching Rose fight. I think she's very, very fun to watch. She's good on her feet and she just tries stuff on the ground. She's very aggressive like she did with Calderwood. Esparza is just straight wrestling, gets you there, grinds out a decision. I'm going to go with the underdog in this fight. I like Rose to try and find something later on in the fight and maybe get it. I like Rose to win the fight, but I'm going to pick Carla Esparza by a unanimous decision. Joe Proctor against Yancy Medeiros. I like Yancy Medeiros. He's coming off a very fun submission of Damon Jackson earlier on this year with a reverse bulldog. Joe Proctor, very tough guy. He's good on his feet. He's very scrappy. Decent on the ground. He trains with Joe Lozon, so he's got some skills everywhere. I just think Yancy Medeiros has got a little bit too much for Joe Proctor. Close fight, 50-50 fight. I'm going to lean towards Yancy Medeiros. KJ Noons against Darren Cruikshank. Boxer against a very good kickboxer. Karate martial artist. He's got all the kind of skills and he shows a lot of different things and he's getting his wrestling as well. I like Darren Cruikshank. I don't think he'll knock Noons out. I think he'll get a decision. And the main event of this card is Jeremy Stephens against Charles Oliveira, which I think is a great fight, and nobody's speaking about it either. And if you play counter move, Jeremy Stephens is 4100. I would pick him. He can get the knockout all over Oliveira. Depends if he makes weight or not. I like Jeremy Stephens. I just think his aggressiveness, he'll be able to take it to the ground. I know the Bronx is very aggressive on the ground. He tries to get. He's got a lot of fun submissions, and he will always look for them. But I like Jeremy Stephens. I think he can finish this fight. I'm going to go a 4th round TKO for Little Heathen. So moving on to UFC On Fox, Dos Santos versus Miocic. Good card yet again. I like the main card. Got 3 heavyweight fights in the main card. Can never complain about that. Just get some early knockouts maybe. We're going to start down UFC Fight Pass prelims. Anthony Burchak against Ian Entwistle. Ian Entwistle fought Dan Hooker earlier on this year. I've watched him a few times over here in Europe. He's based in Thailand. He's really only kind of got a ground game. He hasn't got a chin. His striking's kind of rudimental. Hasn't got much there. When he goes to the ground, he likes to try and get heel hooks, toe holds, leg locks, wherever he can. If he can't get that, he hasn't really got much else. And Anthony Burchak is a very underestimated fighter. This is his first fight in the UFC. Was supposed to fight Joe Soto this year at UFC 177 before Joe Soto got pulled in to replace Henan Barao, who got pulled out of that fight. So a very underestimated guy. I like Anthony Burchak to really put a beat on an Entwistle here and finish this in the first round. So Anthony Burchak by TKO in the first. Henry Cejudo against Dustin Kimura. Good on the UFC for telling this guy, look, you need to go to bantamweight because you're clearly not making flyweight. He's won the title outside the UFC at flyweight, but he's missed the weight limit 2 or 3 times, I reckon, off the top of my head, if I can remember. He's against Kimura here, who's very scrappy. He's a Hawaiian guy. Striking's good. He's got some really impressive submissions from the ground as well. I like Cejudo. I think he's prime elite grappling that's going to really set him in good stead for this fight. So I'm going to go Cejudo by decision. Worst fight of the year alert coming on here. David Michaud against Garrett Whiteley. I'm not getting into that. I'm going to pick David Michaud. Onto the Fox Sports 1 card, we've got Joe Ellenberger against Brian Barberena. Barberena 9-2, 7 knockouts, 2 losses, 1 by submission, 1 by decision. A good striker. He's got some good movement, throws some big heavy power punches, likes to set it up with a couple of nice jabs, move to the side and throw hooks. Joe Ellenberger, last fight I think it was James Montashri, and he gassed big time through that fight, and he looked really bad, and he was lucky I think to get the win. I like Barberena. I think he can get the stoppage here. I'm going to go Barberena 2nd round TKO. Next up we've got a middleweight brawl between Derek Brunson and Ed Herman. Ed Herman, a guy who's been around a hell of a long time, fought a lot of the guys kind of around the same level, your Rafael Natals, so on. Decent everywhere, but not great in one kind of specific skill set. Where Derek Brunson, he's coming along as a fighter. I never used to like this guy fight, watching this guy fight in Strikeforce back in the day. But he's came along, beat Lawrence Larkin last time out. Lost to Yoel Romero, and he was probably winning that fight with Romero in all honesty, before getting knocked out late in the 3rd round. Striking game's coming on, his wrestling's always going to be there. I like him by a stoppage by TKO in the early in the 3rd round, so I'm going to go Derek Brunson by TKO in the 3rd. Jamie Varner against Drew Dober. Jamie Varner's come off that horrible injury against James Krause, and the loss before that to Abel Trujillo where he got knocked out fucking senseless, which was one of my favourite knockouts of the year. Coming back here, he's against Drew Dober, who's coming off a Fight of the Night performance in Berlin against Nick Hein. I like Jamie Varner by submission. I'm going to go in the 2nd round for Jamie Varner, and especially being in Arizona, he'll want to put on a performance. Joe Riggs against Killer B. Ben Saunders. I like, it's great to see Joe Riggs get another chance, let me say, and it's great to see Ben Saunders as well. He's coming off a beautiful submission victory earlier on in the year against Chris Heatherly. I just think Ben Saunders is a wee bit too much for Joe Riggs at the minute, especially coming off that injury, shooting himself as well, so we'll see how that affects him. I like Ben Saunders, and I think he'll get a decision victory. Next up is the best fight of the whole entire weekend, in my opinion. It's Claudia Gadelha against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think Jędrzejczyk. I can never pronounce it, so that's as far as I'm gonna go. The winner of this fight is going to be next in line to face your winner of the TUF 20 championship match for the strawweight title. Gadelha, strong fighter. Beat Leda Maki earlier on in the year in July, right before Dublin. Good on the ground. She's got decent striking. If she makes the weight fairly easily, I think she's got a little bit of advantage there. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she fought in Cage Warriors this year before coming to UFC, and she looked fantastic. She hasn't looked bad whatsoever. She beat Juliana Lima. I think she's got the advantage on the feet. I think her cardio is probably better as well. So I'm going to go with Joanna by a very, very close split decision. Keep an eye on this fight. I think it's a great fight. But I think Joanna's going to win the fight. And we've got John Moraga against Willie Gates in the flyweight division. This should be fairly easily for John Moraga. He's against Willie Gates, who's a Tashi Palace flyweight champion. He's decent, but he's not on John Moraga's level, so I expect John Moraga to get a finish. I like a second round submission for John Moraga. Moving on to the main card. Starting off in the heavyweight division, we've got Gabriel Gonzaga against Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione, knockout artist. He's been really, really good in the UFC. His only loss, I think, was Brendan Schaub recently, where Gonzaga is coming off a loss to Miocic, with wins before that over Sean Jordan and Dave Herman. As I say, Matt Mitrione, he's got knockout power. He's only ever fought in the UFC, so he's only going to fight kind of fairly decent guys as well. Beat Derek Lewis last time out in a very, very fun fight. He kind of got hit with a shot, and then he hit Lewis with a really big shot. Before that, he knocked out Sean Jordan as well. Before that, he lost to Brendan Schaub, who got slaughtered by Joe Rogan last night. If you haven't heard that, go listen. But I like Mitrione. I think he can catch him in the first round as well. So knockout in the first round for Matt Mitrione. Moving on, we have Alistair Overeem against Stefan Struve. You'll probably know I'm not a big Alistair Overeem fan. I've got a guy I play counter move with, Andy, who absolutely would suck his balls in an instant if he had a chance. He thinks he's going to be the champion one day. It's not going to happen. I think he's personally going to get cut after this fight when Stefan Struve knocks him out in the second round. Can I just say it's great to have Stefan Struve back. He's had a lot of things to overcome with the last 2 years. He fainted before his last fight against Matt Mitrione. His father passed away, he had this illness, so it's great to see him back. I like Stefan Struve by second round TKO. Co-main event, we have Rafael dos Anjos against the returning Nate Diaz. When the Diaz brothers fight, it's always exciting. Nate's going to have to use that. He's going to have to have a similar fight he had against Donald Cerrone to, I think, win this fight. Dos Anjos is coming on in leaps and bounds, and his only loss in his last few, I think, has been to Khabib, who is the top guy in that division behind Anthony Pettis. So I like Dos Anjos by decision here. I think he's just got too much overall for Nate Diaz, and I'm going to go by a unanimous decision for RDA. And on to the main event, we have JDS, Junior Dos Santos, against Stipe Miocic. Miocic is a really nice guy, fun guy to watch fight as well. Coming off a win over Fabio Maldonado back in Brazil in May, I think it was. Dos Santos is coming off a win as well. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But Miocic has been knocked out before, as has Junior Dos Santos. He's been stopped by TKO by shots, but Miocic got hurt really bad against Struve. I just think Dos Santos is always going to win these guys. He's the second best in the division behind Cain, but Cain's beat him a few times, so he's always going to be looking for that title shot, but maybe not get it. But he'll probably beat everybody else. He's like Faber. Faber beats everybody, put him in front of him, put him in a title fight, and he struggles a little bit. But I'm going to go Junior Dos Santos by knockout in the second round. So that's my picks for the cards this week. I'm back, I think, next week for the one in Brazil, where Mike Rhodes is fighting. I'm a big fan of Mike Rhodes. He's a great guy. Go follow him on Twitter at Team Rock Biggie. Shout out to MMA Frenzy, who was this guy. Go follow him on Twitter as well at MMA Frenzy, winning big ass bets. I'm going to start jumping on them, which I should have done a while ago. I've been quids in. Shout out to the guys I play counter move with every week. You guys rule. I'm going to take your money, and I'll be back very, very soon. Come follow me on Twitter, BigBuilder7MMA. Like and share this if you can, and I'll be back next week for Machida versus Dollaway. Thank you.